Welcome to the K-Drama Show. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Kim.
We're here to unpack your all-time favorite Korean dramas and chat about all the reasons that we find these shows so charming.
And so addictive. And we know you do too, so settle in with some ramen and a boba tea while we dive into the K-Drama Show with Ashley and Kim.
We see that the baby has been born, and her mom is holding her, and you just hear these whispers of, it's the Goblin bride.
Oh, this is eerie.
She's been born. And it pans back, and it's ghosts outside the window, and they're just looking at her. I'm like, I don't like that.
I mean, they weren't creepy ghosts, but that was really off-putting. That was not what I thought it was gonna be. It's like this super sweet scene of this woman holding her newborn child, and then just ghosties looking in through the window at them.
Ooh, look who it is. Look who's born.
Yeah.
But then we cut to 8 years later. We see this little baby has grown up to a really adorable little girl. And her name is EunTak. And she has this mark on like the back of her neck, kind of neck, shoulder area. And it's also her birthday. And her mom comes up to her and asks her if she wants to have rice cake. And she goes, no, Mom, I want real cake. She's like, why? She's like, I thought you like rice cake. And she's like, yeah, but it's my birthday. I want real cake. It's just a very cute interaction.
Yes.
And then she goes, oh, look, a puppy. And she goes over to pet the puppy. And her mom just kind of stares. And it's just like, ooh, because there's nothing there.
Yeah, that was real odd.
So.
That was a really cute puppy, though.
That was an adorable puppy.
At first I was like, oh no, she's going to be able to talk to dogs. And then it was like, no, the dog's not there.
The dog's not there. And so her mom is just like, oh, this is not good. And it's that night. EunTak gets home, probably from school. I think she talks about like acing a
Doing
test.
well on an English test.
And her mom is sitting there, and she has a cake, like an actual birthday cake, waiting for her. And she tells her, "Okay, like you're gonna light the candles because you're grown up now."
Yeah, she just kind of has this kind of distant, almost sad look on her face, though.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this isn't good.
It's
I have a bad feeling in
really
my
not
tummy.
good.
Yeah.
It's very sad because as EunTak is lighting the candles, she goes, "You're not my mom."
It wasn't just, it was like mid-sentence. She was talking really happily with her mom. Her mom was smiling, and then she just stops. Her smile completely melts away. And she just goes, you're not my mom. You're her soul. And I was like, no! Don't do this to me!
So horrible. We were only halfway through.
I just thought that she was going to say, like, the Grim Reaper was after them. They were going to have to run away together. And then she's freaking dead. I've said that word a lot tonight. I don't really say that word, but this was a roller coaster of emotions. Yeah. I cried so hard during the scene.
I did too.
It was really sad. I'm going to cry again. It's okay.
Hold those in. But her mom has come to tell her goodbye. And she goes, I wish you didn't have to see such things. And whatever you do, don't make eye contact in the future. Like, I need you to be safe.
With other ghosts.
With other ghosts, right. And EunTak just was like, I won't. She's like, but because I can, I get to see you. Like, I get to say goodbye to you. Mm-hmm. Which is horrible that a now 9-year-old
is orphaned.
And she's like, no, Mom, it's okay that I see ghosts because that's how I get to say goodbye to you.
Nah.
No. So she watches her mom just disappear after her mom. But her mom tells her, like, I love you.
Well, her mom had given her instructions. She's like, I'm on my way to the hospital. I'm already gone. Your aunt is going to call, or the hospital's going to call. Your aunt's going to meet you there. Make sure to wear your sweater, or make sure to wear your scarf when you go. And I was like, oh.
Mom things right there.
Yeah,
like,
just mom being mom and daughter trying to be a good daughter. Mm-hmm. And so it all happens, boom, 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 exactly the way
that her mom said it would.
Yeah.
Well, as she's wrapping the scarf around her neck, she looks back at her cake and she goes, I'm never going to wish again because no one is listening anyway.
And then it shows the candles have burned down to stubs because she never blew them out.
Right, because why would I if I'm not ever going to make a wish again?
Oh my gosh, it was so sad.
It's horrible.
I also noticed that the scarf was bright red, like the color at the very beginning.
Yes. And that thing is massive. That's a huge scarf.
It was very cute.
I want one.
It looks so
Real bad.
warm.
Well, then the mom is now talking to the Ajumma, that grandma that had told her the story of the prophecy of the Goblin's bride. And she asks her, you know, like, can you check in on my daughter sometimes, make sure that she's okay, maybe give her, like, you know, some leftover cabbage or spinach, like, just keep an eye on her.
At first, I thought this was a flashback to, like, earlier in the day.
I don't know.
Well,
That
that's
I
what I'm
don't
saying.
know,
At first,
yeah.
I thought it was.
And it must have been, like, either right before.
Right before she died. And again, she, like, knew the Grim Reaper was coming for her.
Mm-hmm.
And wanted to make sure her daughter was okay. But then,
That
like,
could be.
as the conversation went on, I was like, this girl's like EunTak. Or this lady is like EunTak.
Well, do you know the superstition of the nines in Korea? So when you're 9, 19, 29, hey, almost done with that. But, like, you're supposed to be super careful when you're in your nines because something can happen to you.
Oh.
And EunTak has just turned 9. And so her mom probably is, I don't know, maybe 29 at that point. We don't know how old she was.
She was 27 when she was hit by the car.
Okay, so maybe she wasn't in her 9s, but she knows that EunTak is in her 9s. So there's a whole superstition about the 9s.
Okay, that makes some sense.
Because I've seen that in a couple other shows as well, and
Yeah.
I'm
That actually
almost
explains Yushik's issue
yes!
with his wife.
Oh my goodness. But there's that superstition of in your 9s, because I've heard it more as I am 29 of, like, you're not supposed to leave your house, like, go super far away, like, go travel across the world or whatever, because, like, it's supposed to be dangerous, or, like, just bigger things can happen to you
Interesting.
in your 9s.
I wonder if some of that is predicated on the fact that people that are about to have a major milestone birthday are more likely to go do things. You know what I mean?
Irresponsible, or
Yeah. So, like,
That
you're
could be.
about to turn 20. Oh, man, saying bye to my teens. Better go have one last huzzah. Or
right.
I'm about to enter my 30s. Better go, you know, fly to Peru. Just kidding.
I will. Yeah. Yep. You're right.
Just kidding.
No, it's totally true.
Yeah, but you don't believe in that stuff, so.
No, not at all.
It's just interesting.
So yeah, that's what I'm thinking it is from what I know of.
But I don't think that's what it was. I think that this was after she died.
Right.
Before she went to see EunTak.
Right. But I think her telling the Ajumma was just because her daughter is 9
Okay.
on top of it as well. So EunTak goes out the door and she sees a man standing there and goes, well, what are you doing? And it's actually the Grim Reaper. And then she just realizes this is not somebody I'm supposed to look at or talk to, and goes, I need my scarf. I'm going to be in trouble without my scarf. And he goes, you have it on. She's just like, crap. And she's already has, you know, her back turned to him, and she's just like, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. And he asks her, have you turned 9 yet? And there's that 9.
Yeah.
But then he just goes, why are you there? And it's the Ajumma, and she has shown up just kind of behind the building. And EunTak runs to her, and it's just like, basically like, help me out because I can't go with the Grim Reaper. And
Well, she was supposed to look for that woman anyway.
Right.
Per her mother's instructions.
And so her showing up just is even better, that she doesn't have to go look for her now. And so the Ajumma tells the Reaper, you know, you can take her if you prove that you have her name. The child that you lost didn't have a name. This one does. And
She was saying, why are you doing what you should have done years ago?
Yeah.
What you should have already taken care of.
9 years of paperwork, bro. That's what you have right now, is 9 years of paperwork.
But then, that's the moment where obviously we know that this woman is no ordinary woman.
Right.
And she and EunTak are somehow on the same plane of being able to see dead people and also
Know who the Reaper is.
Grim Reaper. Yeah. So, and she's clearly been doing this a couple of years because she got some wrinkles.
Well, and she just, like...
Some prosthetic wrinkles.
Some prosthetic... Well, and she just tells him, like, this is what you need in case you want to do anything. Like, I know what you have to get done.
Yeah.
For you to even come close. So he leaves, and the Ajumma tells UNTak, you have to move in 3 days so that he can't find you again. And you are to go with the man and the woman that come to pick you up tonight. You have to live with them. It's going to be hard, but you will be okay.
Well, she says you made eye contact, so you're in danger.
Yeah,
and
which is why you have to move.
You have to be careful about the land you choose to live on. Choosing the correct land is important. So I'm like, okay, there's jurisdictions.
Good to know.
Good to know.
But then she hands her a cabbage.
Yeah.
And disappears. Just like her mom asked, give her a cabbage every once in a while.
Well, but she says before that, she was like, you're going to suffer a little bit by leaving with these people, but you
will be okay.
You just need to get through it, and everything's going to be okay. You just don't have a choice right now.
Right.
And the woman looks really sad, but she's trying not to be. And she looked sad when UNTak's mother came by earlier, but again, she's kind of steeled herself against.
Well, and she even, she's, wiping UNTak's tears, and she goes, when I gave you to your mom, it brought me so much joy. So she has some investment there with, she has some form of a relationship, whether it's known or unknown, to UNTak especially. So this Ajumma is walking across, a bridge, is what it looks like. I don't know if it's supposed to be a path. I don't know if it's...
This part weirded me out.
It'll make sense farther into the show that we get, I promise. But she's this old woman, and she's walking, and this young boy, I don't know, early teens maybe?
Maybe. Middle school age.
Ish. And, in a school uniform, and they pass each other.
And he greets her.
And he, nods his head or whatever. And then, as they take a step past each other again, underneath it says 10 years later.
Yeah. But one of them gets older and one of them aged down 50 years.
Yes. The Ajumma is no longer an Ajumma.
She's in this vibrant red dress.
She's gorgeous.
Has long black hair.
Makeup.
Not a wrinkle in sight. And the kid is now a man.
20s.
And here's where I was really off put.
Fair. Okay.
He asks her to go for a drink. And the assumption is that it's the same kid grown up. And I was like, ew.
Ew, that's fair. It's weird.
So gross.
It's weird.
And that would be a common theme amongst my notes for the next 2 episodes. It's just, ew.
Ew.
They play with age a little too much in this show for my liking right now.
Yes. There's some significant age differences. So he pulls out his watch, he's all cool, and he
hey, let me just show off my money to you.
Right, and goes, you want to go for a drink? And she goes, sure, why not?
What?
We cut to the Goblin's house, and it's his answering machine. Uncle, I know you're home. I really need your help. Apparently my card got cut off, and these guys in suits are scary, and I need help. Samchan! Clearly, this young man has lost all access to
his trust fund. And never worked a day in his life.
Oh. It's quite hilarious.
One of my feet is cold and one of them is not cold.
I'm wearing socks, so I'm currently okay.
Seems not healthy.
Could be that blood flow is restricted in one.
Could be I'm just not healthy.
That could be as well.
So we show EunTak. She is now a senior in high school, eating alone because everyone knows that she sees ghosties or
talks to them.
Talks to things that aren't there, which is super unsettling, and I kind of don't blame them. That would be very off-putting. And so she knows that people are talking about her. She just chooses to ignore it at this point. But she is walking home after school. She has headphones in, and everyone is carrying an umbrella. It's kind of drizzling out. She just has her hoodie up. Her music is going, and she's just kind of, in her own world, walking home. And then you realize the headphones are in so that she can ignore the ghosts that are trying to get her attention on the walk home, which would be super, super weird. And she is trying her hardest.
Yeah, this one
to
ghost
ignore.
lady will not leave her alone.
No, she's like a toddler.
Worse.
Trying to get her attention, and finally just like stands in front of her and does a scary thing with her eyeballs and is like, pay attention to me.
I want you. And she's just like, what?
Yeah, and there's
Your
like
looks.
people around, and just leave me alone. And the ghost is like talking to her, and then all of a sudden she gets this look on her face, and she looks afraid and apologizes to EunTak, and then just...
She's like, I didn't know it was true.
Yeah, and she just disappears into a wall. And we find out she was running from Kimshin, or Goblin, who was walking toward them down the road with his umbrella. And this is the moment where he and EunTak make eye contact. He realizes that she might be someone slightly significant or different. Right. To be able to see him.
Well, and it's almost like he sees like flashes.
He does. He sees flashes of the future of anyone that he comes into contact with.
Right.
And
but they're very muted. The ones that we see.
Yeah, there's glimpses of
when it's like you don't even get actual detail. And she just is like keeps going because this is normal for her to make eye contact.
And just move on.
And intentional or not. And she's like, you just got to ignore it. You keep walking. And he stops and turns around and is just like, wait, that was different.
I don't like that they romanticize the moment. It was weird.
That's fair. That's fair.
Maybe she's because I think in Korea, 18 is like an adult.
Sure. Probably.
What is the age of majority Korea? 19. Okay,
19.
So she's technically an adult.
Yeah.
But, like, he's an old man. No, he's not an old man. He's, like, our age or older, in our ballpark.
Right.
And that
probably
is...
30s.
No, it's predatory, children.
It is.
It's not okay.
Unacceptable, completely.
It's a show. Do not imitate.
We do not condone at all.
We do not condone this type of relationship.
Nope.
I have hard feelings toward the dynamic. Anyway.
I understand. I do. Keep going.
Oh, I was okay.
You're good.
So we move on into Goblin's day. He's basically decided that he's going to start this new life, and evidently it's in Korea. And this seems very old hat to all of them, something that has had to happen multiple times, which makes sense. The guy is however many centuries old, and
you have to
hasn't
leave.
aged a day.
You have to leave at some point.
It's like the Cullens.
Yes.
And their graduation cap wall. You have to fake
How
your
many
own.
do they have?
They didn't fake their own like deaths or anything, but they did move a lot because if you're in your 40s and looking like you're 17, that's kind of an issue.
Yeah, just a little bit of one.
But he's going to start his new life in Korea, which means they're not in Korea. And I don't think we've quite established where they are at this point yet, right?
They are in Korea. He's going to be leaving Korea to go somewhere else.
Oh, I misunderstood that then. You're probably right.
Yeah, so he's leaving Korea.
I thought it was the opposite.
And going somewhere else. Maybe if it's a different part of Korea or...
No, he had a passport, so he was
but
leaving.
It could be a new name, like a whole new identity.
True, yeah, okay.
So it could be a different part. I don't actually know where he's going.
So he is in Korea. He's leaving somewhere else to go somewhere else, start a new life. Tokwa, who is now evidently 25, has helped with the preparations, and Shinu is saying goodbye to Goblin and saying that, the next time I see you, I'm probably not going to be alive.
Right, this is probably our goodbye.
This is probably our goodbye, and he looks very sad. He looks at Kimshin with fondness. And
well, that's because
it's reciprocated.
Well, and like if you go back to when Tokwa is introduced to him as a child, Goblin tells him, I'm going to be your uncle, and then your brother, and then your son, and then your grandson. Like, this is a practiced speech and roles that he has played. And so
But then I love the kid's response is just like, what the heck are you talking about?
Like,
get away from me.
Stop it. So that's what he's going through right now. He's being looked at like
Yeah.
a grandson or a son figure
Yeah.
in this moment.
This is old hat. He's had to say goodbye to many, many people.
Mm-hmm.
But it still makes him a little sad every time.
Absolutely.
So Tokwa is, now we've established, is a spoiled brat who basically needs bailed out of bad situations and takes his uncle's money all the time.
But he turns to his grandpa, or he goes to his uncle and he's like, I knew you were here. Why didn't you help me? I kept calling you. And then turns to his grandpa and he's like, why'd you cut off my card? Like, do you know how hard that was for me to entice her to come with me?
This is why. Because you're a man-child.
Because you're a man-child.
But then they explain to him that he is going to be leaving, and he's like, for how long? He seems really interested in how
What day
long.
and time are you leaving?
Yeah, for 20 years. Oh, okay.
The wheels are turning.
Wheels are turning, guys.
Oh my goodness.
A little interesting.
He's such a brat.
Yeah. But he's funny.
So we cut to, we're assuming the next day, and it's EunTak. Her alarm has gone off. She gets up and she begins making breakfast, and
It was a beautiful
it's
spread.
a beautiful spread. Now, first of all, in America, we do not make spreads like that.
Not every day.
Not every day. Not for breakfast. We also aren't a big, like...
Well, it is her birthday.
It is her birthday, and so she makes seaweed soup, but, like, the amount of dishes that were on that table
Panchan?
was insane. First of all, we don't do stuff like that in America. Maybe for like Easter brunch or Christmas morning or like, but that is
Side dishes are not in and of themselves their own event, much unlike how it is in Korea. Like
Right.
the meal is panchan, the meal is side dishes, and maybe there's little meat, maybe there's not. But I mean, that was beautiful. I would
teach me how.
I'll come to your birthday party if you're gonna cook like that. That's
Every
great.
year. I am down. Let's go. So yes, her cousins ask her, why did you make seaweed soup for your birthday? And then her aunt walks in and is like, why should we celebrate the day that she came into the world when it's the day that her mom left?
And I'm like, all right, cool. She is in a Cinderella situation.
Absolutely. And so she was just like, okay, thanks for that. And she, grabs her stuff so she can go to school and sees that it's raining outside, and she looks at the little umbrella stand. And her one cousin, he just looks at her.
I thought it was her uncle.
They're cousins. Her one cousin just looks at her and is like, don't you dare take an umbrella. So she just is like, okay, fine. And her aunt yells at her, like, you better bring back the bank book or else you know what's coming. And she goes, I don't have it. I don't know what you're talking about. And clearly this is an argument that is repeated.
Mm-hmm.
And she gets a bowl of rice chucked at her head.
Up until that point, you're trying to like gauge the relationship and the extent of how badly everything runs. Like, is this them picking on her, being annoyed, not wanting to show the sadness they have for the situation by being gruff on the outside, but they truly have affection for her. But that was the moment where I was just like, oh, yep, this is bad.
Yeah.
Like, they actually hurt her.
Yeah,
And treat her like nothing.
they want, she's talking about a bank book, so, because her aunt's like, I want to know where the insurance money is. And so there's insurance money that her mom had left for her child, and her aunt wants it. And she even tells her aunt, she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. There is no bank book, and you've already taken everything. You even took the deposit for the house. So her aunt clearly has debts or
she's just
spending
greedy.
problem.
She's just greedy.
Or, yeah, it's just
is what I assumed at the time.
horrible person. And EunTak leaves, and she ends up sitting like by the ocean, and she's holding a birthday cake, and she has like candles that she's put in, and she's just
sitting really quietly, kind of contemplating.
Well, it's almost like this is like her spot to go to
like talk to her mom, maybe.
Yeah, and just be like, okay, well, they suck. It's supposed to be my birthday. And she's...
But you see, like, it pans over to Goblin, and he's also sitting on this bench somewhere, kind of like in a field. And he just is sitting there quietly, kind of contemplating too. And they both kind of look like they're in the same frame of mind, where they're just like reflecting on their lives and wondering how it's come to this, in a sense.
Is this the real life?
Yeah. Where's this fantasy? Caught in a landslide, no escape from reality. Okay.
But he's thinking back to the conversation he had the night before with his oldest friend,
Shinu,
and about, you know, not finding the woman who can pull out the sword and just like, or even see the sword. And he's just having a lot of conflicting feelings about this. And he ends up like getting up and starts walking around. He's holding like a little bouquet of the flowers. And at this time, EunTak has lit all the candles on her cake. And she makes the first wish since she had turned 9 years old. And she wishes for a part-time job, something to be done about her aunt and her cousins, and she wants a boyfriend.
Gotta, you know, priorities, man.
Same. And she blows out the candles, and she's just like making a wish to anyone, kind of like her mom did, of like, anyone save me. And she blows out the candles, and Goblin just like, you see him stop, like he's hearing something, like, and so EunTak just like starts to notice that it's raining, and she's like, really, can it get any worse than this? Like, well, it has to rain?
As she blows out the candles and like the smoke is coming up from the candles, he looks at the flowers in his hand, and they're starting to smoke.
Yes.
So I thought that was a little scary.
She hears a voice behind her, and he goes, is it you? And she turns around, and Goblin is standing behind her. And she's just like, what are you talking about? And he's like, it's you. You summoned me. Like, how did you do that? And she goes, why would I do that? I don't know you. I didn't summon you. Like, you're the guy I saw in the street. Like, putting things together. And she's like, okay, you're here. Obviously, you're a ghost. What is it that you want? And he's like, yeah, I'm not a ghost. And she's like, they all say that at first. This is a totally rehearsed conversation. Yeah. This has happened a lot. Then he just like stares at her more, and he's just like, why can't I see it? Like, why can't I see your future? And instead she looks down and sees the flowers, and she goes, why do you have those? I think you should give them to me because it's my birthday.
My birthday.
And they don't suit you.
He's just like, all right, here. And it's a buckwheat flower.
It is a buckwheat flower. And she asks him, you know, what does this flower mean in flower language? And he goes, lover. She's just like, huh, okay.
But it's the same flower as the field that he was killed in.
Mm-hmm. Buckwheat flowers. So those are... I don't know why they're important. I don't remember.
I don't know.
Unless it was just a common field.
I have bro. She's still in high school.
True.
Because there was a weird moment there. But I think that, I don't know, because we kind of find out later that, like, that field where he hangs out is the field where he not died.
Right, so it's just kind of a...
Have some flowers that I grew with my blood.
Ta-da. Oh, and they mean lover.
It's totally...
Normal.
Taylor Swift. Just kidding. So she asks him if he's a guardian god, since he has like this different vibe and can grant wishes. And so she asks for $5,000 via the lottery.
Yeah, if you won't give it to me in cash, give me the lottery numbers.
Give me the lottery numbers. It's fine. It's totally fine. You see the future. You just said it. And he tells her that she needs to go and say goodbye to her family since she won't see them for a while. That she'll have a part-time job at a chicken place. And then walks away. Says nothing about a boyfriend. And she's very dismayed about this fact.
She's like, what about my boyfriend?
I need to know these details. Hello. Goblin returns home at this point to find Reaper. Grim Reaper. Dokwa is busy trying to rent out Goblin's place to Reaper.
Well, and he just walks in, he has coffee, and he's like, the furniture's included. You can just start moving in. And then he sees his uncle, and he was like, hi. So
Fancy you being here at this hour in your own home.
I just had this innocent thought of, this is going to be vacant for 20 years and, we could make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And he goes, I haven't received any money yet.
I need you to play nice.
Mm-hmm. And he's like, what's that nice car doing in the drive? And he goes, oh, that's the renter's. Goblin, or Grim Reaper just goes, that's not my car, and I already gave him the full deposit.
And he runs outside to go look at the car, to, like, take care of the car or whatever.
Well, and he's just like, I'm gonna run now. Like, I don't want my uncle to end my life.
Yeah. And he very well could.
He just might. But then Grim Reaper pulls out the contract, and Goblin just does, like, the finger gun, just lights it on fire. And the Grim Reaper just goes, because he goes, oops, sorry, I hope that wasn't important. And he goes, that was a copy.
I have the original back in my office.
And he's like, you know what a contract with a Grim Reaper means, right? And he's like, if you don't want me to stay here, I could just take that little buddy of yours.
It was like, oh, dang.
And so Goblin's just like, all right, fine. We have lots of rooms. You can stay. And, he's like, you can stay in my house. And Reaper's like, no, this is my house. And he goes, it's my house. If you can kick out a goblin on Goblin land, I'll give you a cheer.
Which brings us back to whatever land you settle on is important.
Yes.
Apparently there's jurisdictions. So that's good to know.
That's very good to know. And it's just, they're so funny because they're just like so annoyed with each other, but you could tell that they also at the same time like wouldn't be horrible to maybe have somebody.
Yeah. It's
there.
It's probably more like someone in your similar position to like commiserate with. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. So later we see that they are sitting at the dinner table.
And this is a long dinner table.
It is. It could easily seat like 20 people.
Probably.
And they are on either end of it and kind of criticizing each other's dinner choices. Like, look at that vulgar dish you have. And I think it was something vegetarian. And then he's like,
what a barbarian.
What a barbarian. Because Goblin's over there eating a steak. And at that point, Reaper tosses like a pepper shaker at Goblin, like using his mind, and it just like flies into his inside of his water glass, and he goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, I meant to put that on my food." And then Goblin just casually tosses back like this pepper shaker at him.
It's the salt.
Oh, is it the salt?
The lid off.
Yeah, it lands on Reaper's plate, and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I meant for that to go on you." I'm like, I can't handle these two. There's so much tension here.
The sentence I have is, the petty between the two gives me life.
It's so good.
It's so funny. So then we cut to EunTak. She's doing homework. And she pauses for a minute, and she looks up at the flowers that she took from this unknown ghosty maybe. And she just looks at the flowers and is like thinking back to that conversation. She just goes, what lover? And so then she's like, okay, well, he said, things are going to happen. So the next day she goes to a bunch of chicken places to, see if they're hiring. And I don't know how many she goes to. There was many signs that we see. So she probably went to like 5 or 6 and no luck.
They were kind of rude to her.
They were like cutting her off, like, she didn't even hardly introduce herself, and they're just
They'd walk away. Yeah.
She's taking a break, taking, a drink of water, and she notices that somebody has walked by and, like, thrown their cigarette away, but it wasn't put out fully. So the trash then catches on fire, and so she goes to put it out, and suddenly Goblin is in front of her.
Well, she dumps her water on it and starts to, like, blow air on it, which I'm like, if you don't know this, that's like the opposite of how you extinguish a fire. When you're building a fire, you blow on it because you need to add oxygen into it. So if you're not familiar with fire safety, don't blow on the fire to put it out. No. That's just a birthday candle. In real life, that will make it worse.
That'll make it so much worse. But, so Goblin appears in front of her again, and he goes, see, it's you. You summoned me again. She's like, I did not. Also, you lied to me about the job. Like, what is it supposed to be, like a chicken farm? Like, she's like, you told me I was supposed to have a job at a chicken eatery, and this is not happening. You lied. And he's just like, you know, you'll get it. Don't worry about it. And I don't know why you're summoning me. Like,
He's like, this has never happened before.
this is new. How dare you?
Which at this point I was like, well, she blew on a flame. And he like heard the whistling
Right.
of the air. And I was like, is that how she like summoned him? Is blowing on a flame?
But she looks at him and she goes, I think I know what's going on. She's like, okay, you need to look at me. And he was like, okay, why? She's like, you need to tell me what you see. And he's like, okay, well, I see a school uniform. It's pretty. She's like, okay, what else do you see? He's like, I don't know. And she's like, do you see anything like wings? Because I'm pretty sure I'm a fairy, like Tinkerbell. He just looks at her and turns around and just disappears. He's like, no, I don't have time for this. So she goes to a church service and she's looking at the front. And it looks like it's a Catholic church. And they have like candles. And so she looks at it and she realizes, I know how I can summon him now. And so she lights a candle, blows it out, and Goblin walks in and he goes, why would you bring me here?
He was like, this isn't the best place to summon me.
Nope.
And he like turns and looks at the statue of Jesus.
He's just like, nope, I'm walking out now. And she goes, why don't you just disappear? And he's like, it doesn't work like that here. This is a demilitarized zone. Like, I can't do that here. And
Jurisdictions.
And so then I don't know if it's the same day, a different day, she is in a library and she's downloaded an app that has like a birthday cake and a candle on it so that she can blow out a candle. And she goes to blow it out and she stands up and turns around and Goblin is there and she's like, I didn't know if that was going to work. And so he's just like, well, then why would you do that if you didn't think it would work? And she's like, well, because I wanted to try, basically. And so he turns to leave, and as he starts to leave, she grabs his hand his arm, and he just is like,
and he can't move.
What? Why? What? And then, but where she's grabbed his arm, it's blue flame, and he just looks at her, and he's just like, aren't you gonna let go? And she just let goes, and she's like, oh, that's so hot. He's like, well, then why would you hold on to it? She's like, well, I thought because it's blue, it wouldn't be so hot.
It would be cold.
It would be cold.
He's like, you need to pay attention in school more. Blue is the hottest flame.
But her hands weren't like burned or anything.
No, they weren't singed
at all.
It was just warm to the touch. Ooh.
But she finally convinces him, like, I need to tell you something because I've figured out who you are. And she goes, I know you're not a ghost because you have a shadow. One of them was like, no, you're not, what was it, like a Grim Reaper?
I know you're not the Grim Reaper because she's still there.
Right, like
I've made eye contact with you, you haven't killed me.
And he's like, okay, well, what do you think of him? She's like, you're a goblin. He goes, no, I'm not. And she's like, yeah, no, you are a goblin. I'm sure of it. And she's like, I need you to listen to me. She's like, ever since like I was born, I have this mark on my neck. And she like shows him this, I don't know if it's supposed to be like a flower or.
It looks like smoke.
Yeah, smoke even. And this mark, and he sees it, and he's just kind of like, it's almost like the wheels are turning in his head of like, okay, one, you're summoning me places, which has never happened. You have this random mark on your neck that, what is this supposed to be? And she's like, my whole life I've been told that I'm the Goblin's bride. Like, I know that I am. And as she's saying this, he has like this flashback to when he saved the young woman who was begging for her child's life to be saved. And he's like, okay, well, prove it. And she goes, okay, well, how? Do you want me to fly? Do you want me to turn into a broom? Like, you know, he's like, well, I want you to look at me and tell me what you see. And she's like, okay. You're tall. You're wearing expensive clothes. Like, she just starts describing him, and he's like,
maybe mid-30s.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then she looks at him and she goes, please don't tell me you wanted to hear me say handsome. Like, what do you want from me? And he goes, "You're not the Goblin's bride, because if you were, you would have the answer I wanted."
Well, then he tells her, "You're just a side effect from a violation of the principle against messing with human life and death. Live in the reality, not the rumor. You are not a Goblin's bride."
That you have no effective value.
That was so cruel.
So mean.
For a girl that already is not shown any kindness from anyone in her life, and to be
For most of her
one
life.
person that could maybe relate to her on some level because you're both in the world of the mystic, and he's just like, "Go die."
And I love her response, though. She's like, "You don't know me. You don't get to put the effective value on my life." Which I thought was very brave of her. Just like, I don't care who you are.
When
no.
you're a senior in high school, you're just stupid enough to think that you can say those kinds of things without repercussion.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
That also helps.
saying this as a former stupid senior who said many stupid things in her lifetime. No hate toward my seniors. I love you all.
What she said, because yes. But he walks away. Goblin walks away, and he goes through a door, and he opens the door, and it's a completely new place. Like, clearly.
Different country.
Well, EunTak follows him through that door, and just
Which had already closed, mind you.
Yes, it has been closed, and she opens the door and just is like, "Wait, where are we?"
And he's just like, "I'm sorry, how are you here?"
Grab the handle, push, walk through the door, like.
But now we know she possesses powers that are similar to his. And she decides that she will marry him since he's a goblin. And then says,
"Thank you.
I love you." And then I have, "Cringe, cringe, cringe," in all caps. And that was episode 1.
That was episode 1. All right. All right. Do you want to do episode of the hour? Or do you want to wait on those?
Episode of the hour?
Good Lord. Character of the hour. Woo!
Character of the hour?
Or do you need to hold off for a bit?
I mean, my character of the hour is Goblin. Because he's really the one we're given the most context around.
Right.
And the way that they've portrayed him just as a benevolent leader, as someone who is kind, who is capable of empathy, but has just seen so much crap through the years that he's kind of walled himself off a little bit, which makes complete sense.
Oh, yeah.
You can only watch people die over and over and over so many times before you're like, I only want to get so close to you because you're here for this much time and I'm here for this much time.
Right.
I just think that he's got some layers that we need to pull apart. And I'm also super excited to see the dynamic between him and Reaper unfold. So,
yes.
How about you?
Oh, I think EunTak's mom, because even though she knows that her daughter has these, albeit unfortunate, abilities, she calls out for someone to save her child. She doesn't care about her life. She wants her child to be saved. She goes to the Ajumma and is like, "Can you just check up on my child? Maybe give her, some cabbage or some spinach every once in a while. Like, make sure that she's okay." And has everything set up so when she does die, her daughter is taken care of. And maybe there is going to be parts of it that really do suck. Her aunt clearly is not a very nice lady. And she's not being treated very well.
Yeah.
But she's made sure that her child is taken care of completely. And that's even in her last moments of just being like, "No, I got you.
Wear your scarf.
Stay safe.
Yeah.
Don't look at other ghosts in the eyes."
It was sad.
It was sad.
Final thoughts.
Well, I'll have you go first because
This is not I wasn't the most impressed with it.
Mhm.
Like I was telling you earlier before we started recording, just because age-related things like that are really off-putting to me.
Absolutely, yeah.
As someone who has like been approached as a young woman by people that are clearly of an inappropriate age, and knowing other people that has happened to, I'm like, I don't like that scenario. And I don't like the ideas that it perpetuates. But I was confident enough in the fact that they're going to age her up.
Right.
That I was willing to kind of move past it a little bit.
Fair. Absolutely.
And also just telling myself that the actors were not actually 19 and 900 years old.
Correct. Because that is impossible to be 900 years old.
Yes, but I don't know. I'm just kind of suspending disbelief until we can move into a more appropriate dynamic for the show. But
Yes.
episode 2 did not give me what I wanted in that regard.
There's a lot to cover.
There is. I really, really enjoy, what's his name? Donguk?
Yeah, Dongwook as Reaper.
Yeah. And so I want to see more of them, like, interacting. Because they were hilarious at the dinner table scene.
I promise there's much more of that to come. They are...
Oh, good.
They are amazing. Easily my favorite characters are those two.
Yeah.
Like their relationship, one of my favorite dynamics in almost any K-drama I've ever watched.
Really?
It's so good.
I love Kim Goen. I love her acting. I have yet to see her in something where I did not enjoy her acting.
Yes, she is so talented.
She is so talented, and I know that they tend to poke fun at her looks all the time, but I'm like, she's so pretty.
She's gorgeous.
Just leave her alone. I'm sorry
You're
she
just
doesn't have
jealous.
I'm sorry she doesn't have the double lid. But like at least she's talented. Leave her alone. Anyway, I'm getting a little funky.
Well, it is 11.
No, we gotta hurry up and get this other episode recorded.
All right.
Well, all right. If you have not yet, go check out our Instagram at the KDrama Show. We are going to start posting more content to our YouTube.
Yes.
So it will be separate content from just the podcast episodes. Currently, that's all that is showing. But on Saturday, from the time of airing, we will have our first video up. And so it will be just talking about a little bit about like our goals for the year and what we'd like to do. So go check that out at the KDrama Show. Is it with Ashley and Kim?
Yes, it is.
At the KDrama Show with Ashley and Kim on YouTube. And we will put a link in our bio for that. So
Yes.
go check out both of those things. Thanks so much for joining us. Make sure to like and subscribe. And
Follow.
we will see you next time.
I'm so excited.
Like what you're hearing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any new episodes. We'd love to connect with you on our Instagram at the KDrama Show. For more behind-the-scenes content, be sure to check out our YouTube channel. Links are in the show notes. Thanks for hanging out with us on the KDrama Show with Ashley and Kim, and we'll see you next time.